alone? Hey, let's be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's who we are. I gotta give one game ball to the walk-off.
We've seen the Falcons 3 times in primetime already this year. All of the games have been great, and this is a team that sits at 3-2. They could be 0-5. They could be 5-0. They're on the right side of 500, and when you play Sunday and you play Thursday, a lot happens in that 4-day window. You can win 2, you can lose 2. They won both against division teams, and now all of a sudden, Falcons in the driver's seat. It's early, but they're in the driver's seat in the NFC South after last night's incredibly exciting. What happened to no scoring? Holy crap, 36-30 in overtime. Kirk Cousins, 509 passing yards, a franchise record. On the night they put Matt Ryan in the Ring of Honor, thanks a lot, Matt Ryan says, he broke my franchise single-game record with 509 in a walk-off. What a game. Good morning, Rodney. He's Rodney Harrison. I'm Mike Florio. It's PFT Live, and it's a Friday, and what a Thursday night it was.
Listen, I was really excited when they first talked about bringing Kirk Cousins into Atlanta because Atlanta needed a veteran presence at the quarterback position, Mike. Last year, they were always in position in the fourth quarter to win football games, but they had a young quarterback. They had a lot of inexperience there, and that's what they were lacking. They were lacking that general, that leader at the quarterback position. And each week we talk about Kirk Cousins. Maybe he looks a little better. He looks a little better. I think last night was really his coming out party. I mean, this guy looked fantastic, spreading the ball around, dropping back. He threw the ball 58 times, Mike. That just shows you just the level of arm talent that he has, but also the faith that they have in Kirk Cousins. I thought he was terrific.
Tied for Vince Ferragamo with 509 at number 15 on the all-time single-game passing list. Only the 12th or 13th quarterback with 500 or more passing yards and 4 touchdowns. He did have an interception. We'll talk about that coming up. But, you know, Rodney, as good as he was, he could still be better because I still see him not planting his back foot and driving the way that he used to. He's still recovering from the torn Achilles tendon that happened last year at Lambeau Field, the Sunday after a great Monday night win over the 49ers. But, you know, the arm is getting it there, and he spread the ball around to a bunch of different guys. Guys stepped up. Kyle Pitts, who had no catches last Sunday, had a bunch of them last night. Drake London, Darnell Mooney with a couple of touchdowns, and then Kaderil Hodge, of all people, with the walk-off game winner. It really was an incredible performance, career high, career night. And, you know, he's 2-1 in primetime this year. Could have beat the Chiefs on that Sunday night, week 3. The narrative that Kirk can't win in primetime is dead. He can't lose in primetime. He delivers in primetime.
I thought the offense coordinator, Zach Robinson, I thought he was really good because at first I was starting to look at him sideways, like, why won't he run the football? But I guess he felt like Kirk was in the groove, Kirk was hot, and that's what they needed at that moment in time. And it was just the offense was clicking. And when we saw Kirk in that zone and he was just spreading the ball around, and I love the fact that Zach Robinson, he made Kyle Pitts a priority in the offense. This is a guy that's 6'6". Mike, you heard me talk about it a week and a half ago when we had Atlanta. Talked about this guy and his size and all the different things that he could do on the football field and how he puts so much pressure on a defense. Now you can spread him out, you can motion him out, and he can do so many different things. And I just love the leadership of Kirk. Kirk comes in there. Now they feel like they have a chance in the fourth quarter to win these games. Last year, they felt like every time they were in a position like last night, they could not win these games. And Kirk, the leadership, the humility, just the work ethic. I love everything about what the Falcons are doing. And I love the demeanor of Raheem Morris. He's the right fit to be the head coach for the Falcons.
Gave him a chance to beat a Buccaneers team that he once coached. It's so long ago, people forget. He got that job at 33, coached there 2009 through 2011. So he gets the win over the Bucs. They have a rematch coming up later this month in Tampa Bay, and that hopefully will be another great game. And Zach Robinson saw something getting ready for that game last night, Rodney. He saw there was a soft spot in the middle of that Buccaneers defense about 15, 20, 10 yards down the field. because Cousins kept sending it right into that hole, and it worked all night. They were never able to plug up that hole, and they weren't able to get to him on a regular basis before he could find somebody open down the middle.
Well, they were playing. Tampa Bay was dropping back. They were playing a lot of zone. And if you're playing zone, you typically have to get the pressure from the front four. If you're not getting the pressure from the front four, Kurt is a master at, figuring out the zone. So guys are dropping back in the zone. He's looking one way, drawing a defense, and he's coming back and fitting it right into the little tight spots. And it was easy for him. It wasn't like it was anything difficult. It was very easy for Kirk Cousins. And when you have a veteran quarterback that can go through his reads and knows his progression, and he doesn't really have to worry about a pass rush. And I thought Todd Bowles played too conservative at times. I felt like he should have played a lot more man-to-man. I felt like it was too many openings in the zone, and Kirk Cousins picked them apart. This is Todd Bowles. Remember, this is a defense we talk about. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in all of football, and Kirk Cousins threw over 500 yards, and he made it look easy, and he did it without his number one receiver. He came in and trusted a guy that hadn't really even played, and he came in and caught a pass and took it to the house. But that just shows the leadership of Kirk Cousins. And when you're in Minnesota and you're up and down, and people look at you one way, but I'm so glad Kirk Mike has an opportunity to kind of get restart his his football season. And I thought he was fantastic last night.
Yeah, for as badly as it ended for him last year with that injury that happened out of nowhere, it's a great start for a guy the Vikings wanted, but they didn't want to make a commitment to. They wanted to basically keep doing it year to year. The Falcons, a little more of a commitment, at least 2 years, maybe 3. We'll see how that goes. We'll talk about that angle in a second. For now, let's hear from both Kirk Cousins and head coach Raheem Morris after the win on Cousins' performance last night.
I've played in some crazy games. I've been on the losing end. And so to come out with one like this in overtime, walk off at home on a Thursday night against a good football team in the division, it was a great performance. It showed a lot of character, resilience. We kind of had to claw our way back into the game late, and gratefully won the coin toss. And it was a big night, one I'll remember. Yeah. I think we spread it around. I think that's kind of how we're built, is to get a lot of people involved. We have a lot of trust in several skill position players. But it was pretty heavy drop back, spreading it around. And I was just proud of the way guys fought, made plays, got open, caught difficult, catches, and took another step tonight.
Raheem, you joke about stats.
Yes.
But Kirk did throw for 500 yards, which would seem like a pretty significant statistic.
It's okay. We just scratching the surface with him.
It's amazing to think he can get even better, and he can when he's able to drive that foot, plant that foot, drive the ball. He will be even better than he was last night. May not have another 500-yard game this year, but we'll see. They've got the weapons. I mean, they finally, I wrote something yesterday. They weren't getting a return on Kyle Pitts. They weren't getting a return on Bijan Robinson. They weren't getting a turn on Drake London. And last night, look, especially London, 12 catches, 154 yards, and a touchdown. Pitts, 7 for 88. Bijan Robinson, quiet, but you don't need everybody to be loud on a night like last night.
Well, I mean, every night is going to be a little different. Ray McLeod, he's been really good. You got the two-headed monster where you can, the big physical back, Tyler Algier. Darnell Mooney is a guy that he's made some plays for him. I just like what they've done on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, I thought they did a good job too, Mike. Baker had those early 3 touchdowns, but I thought in the latter part of the second half, the defense played a lot better and made some key stops. But Raheem Morris is the right guy for this job. I just love his demeanor. I know Bill Belichick, it was between him and Bill Belichick, and I always said this from the beginning. I felt like Raheem Morris had the personality. He was the right fit for this job. And you look at Kirk Cousins talking, man, he's at a place where he feels very comfortable. He loves the talent around him. He loves the locker room. You can just see how happy and elated he is. And I'm happy because this is what they needed. It's tough when you're out there fighting and clawing and you got a chance to win and you have a young kid, Desmond Ridder, and it's not all his fault, but you have a young quarterback that just can't get you over the hump. And now going into the fourth quarter, they feel like they have hope. They have an opportunity to win those games in the fourth quarter. And you see guys playing a lot harder. You see guys playing smarter. You see guys fighting and clawing because they feel like they have a chance in the fourth quarter. And that's all you want as a football team.
They love Desmond Ritter's intangibles. They thought they could coach him up on the tangibles. There's certain things that you must have: the arm strength, the accuracy, the ability to throw the football well on a consistent basis. And Ritter just didn't. And it's not something you can will a guy to do. Cousins can do it. And he has the intangibles. He's got the experience. He brings that offense together. And it took a while to get there, but between the injury and the fact that all offenses, most offenses were sluggish in September, that's a byproduct of the limited opportunities to get guys ready. The first month of the regular season is kind of like extra preseason to get everyone to where they need to be. And now that the Falcons are where they are, this is an indication they're just going to keep getting better. They're going to keep rolling.
Mike, that's the only problem. They don't they don't play in the preseason. So now you're using the first month of the season to try to get used to things, which I think is incredibly crazy. It's just, I don't understand. How do you not put guys on the field during the preseason so you can get a feel as a coach? You can actually watch them on tape to see how they're moving, how they're communicating, how things are going. And then you use the first month of the season and you see, you know, your offense or your defense is so sporadic. They're playing inconsistent because they haven't had reps. And that's just been a big issue. I think moving forward, that should be definitely a point of emphasis for teams moving forward. But yeah, Kirk was go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, that was one of the points Chris Sims made as the season started. Keep a close eye on the teams that did play their starters in the preseason, like the Chiefs, who haven't lost a game yet. Watch the teams that haven't, because for the teams that haven't, September becomes the preseason, and you work out all the kinks that you would have worked out before the season started, and you would have been ready to hit the ground running. Now, it was different with Cousins because he had the injury, and he wasn't ready to go. And look how much better he's gotten between week 1 and week 5 from the standpoint of trusting that and being stronger with the leg. You know, they ultimately put Michael Penix Jr. on ice after one preseason game. They said they'd seen enough, and we were all confused. Like, wait a minute, this is the only chance he's going to get to play all year. This is his opportunity to get some reps, but I think at some level they're concerned if Kirk isn't close enough to 100%, what are we going to do? And that brings us back, and I know that's something you wanted to address, and I'm curious to know what you want to say about it, but they used the 8th overall pick in the draft on Michael Penix Jr. Kirk throws 5.09. Maybe Penix is going to be holding a clipboard for a while.
I think that'd be fantastic. I thought the decision that they made to go out and get 2 quarterbacks, I thought it was smart. I really did, Mike, because one of their main things was they couldn't finish in the fourth quarter. They needed a leader at that position. You go out and you get one of the most consistent quarterbacks over the last 4 or 5 years, Kirk Cousins. And I thought, you invest that money in him. And, when you invest that type of money into Kirk, you know what you're going to get. And I just, I like the fact that they went out and they made that a priority. When you get 2 quarterbacks, and it wasn't like they were a pass rusher away from getting to the playoffs or winning games like this. They were a quarterback away. So now you look at Kirk Cousins, he's got the young guy, Penix behind him. So that's going to make Kirk on his game all the time because he knows he has a young guy pushing him. So I think this is probably the best thing that happened to Atlanta. They have something that they can do now. They have a leader now, but they're also preparing for the future. And if we've learned anything about these quarterbacks is these young quarterbacks, they need time to develop. You look at Bryce Young, he will be better. Will Levis, these guys need to be on the sideline, learning from a different perspective, watching these other guys play so they can learn and get those mental reps. Right now, the game is moving too fast for them. And that's why I say I love the fact that the Falcons went out and got 2 quarterbacks because they can address the issue now. And if something were to happen to Kirk Cousins, he pops some scar tissue. You got Michael Penix. When they pulled Michael Penix I said, okay, Kirk's not 100%, and they don't want anything to happen to Kirk and happen to this young man. So that's why they pulled Michael Penix and said, you know what? We're not going to allow him to play in the preseason. We've seen enough. We know he's good enough to go in there in case something happens to Kirk. And now you see Kirk just elevate his game. He's getting more confident with that leg. He's getting more confident with his teammates, Mike. And now you're starting to see the ascension.
It still was confusing when it happened. And one of the concerns was it's going to make things weird for Kirk Cousins as he's walking through the door. If it is weird for him, he set it behind him and he went out. And again, last night had a career night. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.